All right, and welcome back to A Dash of Reading. I'll be bringing my co-host Amber on here for our review. I think this is the fourth book that we're going to be reviewing, so I'm excited to bring this on. So without further ado, we'll get started, and we'll be talking about books and how lucky. I don't know if I'm lucky with this book or not, but we'll be talking about it here in just a second. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I am good.
Good. Welcome to our fourth book. I believe this is our fourth review.
We're professionals now.
We are professionals. Now, we're going to be reviewing How Lucky, but I don't know how lucky we are that we got to read this.
Well, it's funny you say that. Because I always take notes on some, stuff I want to make sure that I talk about. And the more I'm writing and these thoughts come with me, I'm like, maybe it was better than I thought. So we'll talk through that.
I don't know. The more I looked into it, and I was just I don't know. Like you said, we'll get to it in a second. All right, so we're gonna be talking about How Lucky. I guess you would call it like a Rear Window-ish thriller slash sort of mystery. There wasn't really any red herrings or anything that we had to or clues to look for, so I give it more of a thrillerish. Set in Athens, Georgia. How apropos, like you said.
Yes.
Go dogs, go dogs. I just want a cup of coffee. Go dogs. No, I kid. I mean, I don't know what to say. We have a character. Our lead character is Daniel, who's got SMA. For those of you that don't know, it's more like Lou Gehrig's disease, but it affects your toddlers and or your children at an earlier age than ALS would for Lou Gehrig's disease.
Sounds terrible. Both of them sound terrible.
So he's dealing with quite a bit. Let's talk about Daniel for a minute. Man, I don't know what to say about this. This is something, I'm going to kind of jump around here for a second. This is something new that I didn't know about. I knew about ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, obviously. But I didn't know so much about this. So I did a little research afterwards, and you're right. Man, and come to find out it's the author's a relative or a friend, son who is dealing with this. So I give him hats off for trying to make us aware of that.
So that's okay. So Daniel, just a real quick recap. Daniel has this SMA, so he's confined to a wheelchair. He can eat and swallow, but he has to be fed. He has some use of his left hand, which he uses to talk to people, kind of Stephen Hawking-ish. And then he is an online Twitter. He helps run the Twitter feed for a regional airport. So he's online all day. So that's great that there's a job that he can do. And, he lives alone and he does have help. And so he looks out, he's on the porch or something one day and he sees a girl get into a car, and then it comes to find out that the girl is missing. And so it just kind of, it's not like a mystery he sets out to solve. It just kind of falls in his lap. I like Daniel as a character. I think when I was writing my notes, my biggest problem with this is I feel like the author took way too long for us to get to know Daniel. I feel like it just was stretched out. Like he would be talking about the mystery, or I really enjoyed the picture, the life of what it looks like in Athens on a college town on football day. That was really cool, and he goes into all the other characters. But as far as like Daniel and how he got in his how he grew up, and I just felt like that was too long. So when the author would spin off on those stories, that's where he really, really lost me. And I feel like that's such a shame, because there's a lot of people like you and I who've never heard of this, who have nothing about it. And I think the book does a beautiful job of Daniel just being a person. And then SMA is just kind of something he has. It's not a book about SMA, which I appreciated. But I feel like maybe it's my problem that I didn't like all the spin-off stories, not
No.
Mr. Leitch's problem.
I was right. I have 100. I actually have, one of my notes is 150 pages of randomness that we probably didn't need to know, that could have been spent on character buildup.
Yeah.
I mean, he introduces Daniel's mom, and all we know is she's a girl in Jamaica on the beach.
Yeah.
I mean, we know a little bit, but let's be honest. I mean, his mom's ridiculous. I mean, she'd rather be. I get it, and I understand where he's going.
Yeah.
With that, but this mom is just like out. Her son could die at any moment. Literally, he talks about that. At any moment, he could pass away, and his mom's out living it up in Jamaica with a boyfriend.
Yeah, I don't think that's a choice I would make.
Yeah.
I think I got the feeling it was not an easy choice for her to make, because she was also a single mom.
Yeah.
So raising Daniel, you know, with his condition, and her being a single mom doing that, it seems like that was Daniel's choice, was for her to go live her own life, not her choice. I don't know. It's got to be hard. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if it's a decision that I would make, knowing my kid could just die at any moment. But she also needs to live her life too.
I mean, I feel, yeah, she survived cancer, but I feel like we still didn't get enough of her character build-up to even get any sympathy and or to get to know her. Other, like I said, the most thing the only two things you remember is cancer.
Yeah.
And her being in Jamaica the whole time he's dealing with this situation.
You know, like in her defense, when he almost dies at the end, she comes back.
Right. I like like you said, I like Daniel as a character as well. I think at times he was more super than I really thought he was, as far as surviving the guy dropping him. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about SMA, so that's why I said I did a lot of research, and knowing just that even the guy dropping him could have damaged his lungs.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into another situation here in a little bit. Travis, I mean, I think Travis was just there to have somebody to feed him besides Marjani. Travis didn't do anything for me.
No.
I'm going to be honest. Travis didn't do anything for me. He's a best friend. But sound like the typical Shaggy hang-on, if you know what I'm talking about, folks.
Yeah. They are an unlikely duo. I'm not sure, because Travis, so if I remember correctly, Daniel moved to Athens to be near Travis. And Travis just takes it all in stride. He does not take care of Daniel full time, if you're listening and you haven't read it. He is a friend, but he does come over and he feeds his friend. Like, he doesn't mind that. It's just like, you know, I have to give my friend this chip in his mouth. He was like a lovable puppy. I'm not really, I don't know. The one theme that runs through this book, and out of all my notes that I keep talking about, is just kindness. And I think the author I think this book is more about kindness than the disappearance of the girl. And Travis was just kind. He just treated Daniel like a real person. And then, you know, at the end, when Daniel is getting ready to, it's like the big, what Jonathan, the bad guy, is on the floor or whatever, and Daniel is like, I'm just gonna floor it, and he's like, this is for you, you know. He's like, he goes down the list of everybody. I'm doing this for everybody with SMA. I'm doing this for my mom. I'm doing this for Travis. And he said, you treated me just like every other dope. No better, no worse. And then, I don't know. That's why I thought, when I was writing all the examples of kindness down, I just feel like maybe I missed something the first time I read it. And so I like Travis in how he treats Daniel, and that Daniel's just his best friend. And so what that Daniel can't run and throw the football with me? It doesn't matter. He's my friend because who he is as a person.
Yeah.
But I do feel like, I know what you're saying, a lot of the characters seemed pretty shallow. There just wasn't a lot there wasn't a lot of depth to hardly anyone.
Yeah, and I'm not meaning shallow in as like they are just doing this to,
No.
right.
Right. Yeah. Shallow, like we don't get enough information about these people to make an informed decision, I feel like.
Other than Marjani obviously having a huge crush on Kirby Smart. And this guy is, and Will Leitch is obviously a Georgia Bulldog fan, I'm assuming,
well,
even though he lives in.
He's a sports writer. He had like an MLB blog, and he does live in Athens. He had to have. He had to, like, he was throwing out so much knowledge, and I'm like, this guy's from Georgia.
I think the one thing that disappointed me most, and I'm not saying this book is bad. I'm just, the thing that disappointed me is we have a book about Daniel, and we have and obviously one of our other characters, Ai Chen, who is a foreign exchange student from China who's here to study veterinarianism. She is the one who is kidnapped, yet we don't get to feel for her. We don't get any, again, and I know this is about Daniel, but I don't know what, there's, other than one little cryptic email. And even when they're talking about her on the phone, it doesn't really give us any buildup when we see this picture of her. It doesn't give us anything for us to be like, oh crap, her life's in danger.
Right. There's not enough sympathy for her. But is it that way? Are we so cynical that, like, on the news, when someone, we don't know that what am I trying to say? When people get kidnapped on the news, we just read about it and we just go on about, oh, let's say a prayer for them. And that's all the information we get. So I know what you're saying. And I wonder, too, though, we're used to reading books like this, right? And this is book 2 of a very thick series. We get a lot of character development. You and I like these. We like these deep series that go on for 10 books or whatever. So to do all of that in this amount of space, I wonder if that's why you and I are just like, because we just, like I said, we're used to this and we're not getting that. You make a good point about not having a lot of sympathy for her because we just get just a little bit. And that's going to make me think now every time I read about somebody on the news, like, I should probably have more sympathy for this person.
I think that comes from being a cop for so long that, you're, like, if you have this, the cop in me wants to know, all right, what's going on with her as well. I understand. All right, I've got Joe over here who's reported his daughter kidnapped. Now I know what Joe's trying to do, but now I want to focus on his daughter. And I think that's probably my mindset on it. And not really looking through Daniel's eyes, where I'm trying to look through more of Ai Chen's eyes, if you know what I'm saying. What is she? What is her plight? How is he helping her? I mean, other than talking back and forth with this guy, and Jonathan, I don't even know how to describe Jonathan. A social outcast, obviously.
Yes.
And not very sure of himself. He's very.
Well, if you have to kidnap a girl because girls don't pay any attention to you, there's something very wrong with you. But yeah, he's an extremist on whatever end of this, but the issues that he has politically or socially or whatever, he's definitely an extremist. He has a lot of issues for sure to kidnap her. And he just has a problem with girls. They don't give him the time of day. And even, doesn't Daniel say that he's not really a good-looking guy or whatever? Doesn't he?
I mean, I think both of them even mentioned in the email traffic that they had with each other that they were both, not very good looking and playing it off with the ha 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 ha.
So what do you think of all the emails? Do you think Daniel should have kept up that conversation, or if he should have let it go? And and spinning off on that, because the cop said to let him go, how do you feel about the police officers who screwed all that up?
I think the police, it was obvious from reading the police officer that he just thought this kid was looking for attention for a while. The email traffic, I think it was fine at first, But I mean, he did. He once it started getting dark, he started forwarding it more to the. But he should have just stopped once it started getting dark.
Yeah.
He should have stopped the conversation all right there and said, "Hey, listen, this guy it's for real." They're trying to blow it off as Jonathan being the guy who always cries wolf, if you will. He's trying to claim that he did everything wrong in the city, and if that was part of his master plan, that didn't really convey well. Another thing that bugged me about the whole Jonathan thing was the footprints. Here's a guy. This guy knows that somebody kidnapped I-10, and there's a bunch of footprints on the
porch and
on
in
the
the
porch.
kitchen,
and they just blow it off like.
bed.
Come on, you got to put 2 and 2 together, and I think that was kind of that just seemed far-fetched for me. Here, you're having a conversation with somebody. You know somebody kidnapped. There's a possibility that he sits there and goes, "Well, I didn't see you." So now you've got to think maybe he does know where you live. Come on, dude. I mean that just.
It was very, very unbelievable because
it was
Travis,
that was probably one of the worst parts of the book.
Yeah, it was too unbelievable. And I know they weren't quite ready for them to make that connection to Jonathan, but that was really ridiculous. I will say in the email, we all knew Jonathan knew where he lived because we're all going, you guys are dumb, there's footprints, those are Jonathan's.
Yeah.
I will say that last set of emails were at the very end, and he's like, I know you're in a wheelchair. I thought that building up was actually well done.
Yeah,
and like you don't need that last little section, and then where Jonathan types, because you're in a wheelchair. I was
I'm literally in your house. Yeah, I'm literally in your kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I agree with that. That was very well built up. Another thing that Jonathan did that I felt was out of character, and I felt was just gratuitous violence to have gratuitous violence. It was in 2 occasions. I don't feel like he would have kicked him while he was down. I just from the email conversation and reading, even though he was dark, I don't feel like he would have kicked and beat up Daniel while he was down. I feel like he would have just
left him because at that point it's obvious that Daniel can't move. He only literally can move his mouth, like he can talk and stuff, and then his left hand, which is not very strong. You're right, and I don't know how Daniel survived any of that. I thought maybe that was a little bit.
That's where I was talking about, where he's kind of super. And then the other gratuitous violence was when the night orderly came to check on him. Jonathan hits this guy in the face with a baseball bat. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And somehow he's still alive with just a broken jaw. No, you're if he has that much rage to break Daniel's fingers and things like that, he probably has that much. I mean, again, which was out of character. That's why I say this is also just gratuitous violence to have some violence in there. I think you could have done it where he continued to play mind games with Daniel.
Which was, I love thrillers that are all about the brain, psychological thrillers. The other thing about the orderly not calling 911 right away and just like chatting, and I'm like, what? And Daniel like is trying to tell him with his his brain or whatever what's wrong, and the guy's just la-di-da, just sitting there, and then like, oh, maybe I should call the cops, and then too late because then Jonathan whacks him. I thought that part was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think again it was just a gratuitous violence just to have somebody get beat up, and we already know that Daniel's gone through a lot of crap. We already know it, and I think the gratuitous violence, and I think that's the part I disconnect with, just to have gratuitous violence on this kid who can't do anything anyways, made no sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather because the psychological thing going on back and forth between them was really, like I said, the emails and the psychological thing was really well put together on that part. So continue to do that. You don't need, I mean, hell, you could have stayed away and he would have never known.
Yeah. Yeah. He could have written that a little better.
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, this is his first novel. I don't know. Maybe you just feel like you have to, like in the movies, I feel like they just have to throw in some sex and throw in some fight scenes and throw in some F words.
Yeah.
Just because they think that you're supposed to. I don't know.
I mean, there's some things that I mean, if this was his first novel, it was solid shot on the first, and
yeah, he's a journalist.
Things that I found unbelievable, but overall, again, I felt what a way to build, and I felt I was more comfortable with Daniel, even though there were probably some other things that he could have given us. And again, I even wrote down what you said as well, that it was, he didn't spend all the time talking about SMA, which he could have. I mean, I felt like at some points he could have just gone off on a tangent and told us all about SMA and not brought us back to the.
I feel like we had two different stories here. We had the Daniel background with the SMA, and then we had the little mystery, which I don't mind reading about the SMA. I just don't like how he did it.
Yeah.
He just lost the whole middle of the book. He just lost me somewhere. I did very much enjoy. So I started reading this the Tuesday after the Bulldogs won. And so it was really neat because even Daniel's like, we never win kind of thing. We haven't won in forever. And so that was really neat. And so at that point, I knew the author had to live in Athens because it was just too spot on. I actually planned to mail this book to my friend who is from Georgia and loves the Bulldogs with all her heart because I think she will enjoy reading this with that background. And she's a nurse. So I think the medical stuff she'll like.
Yeah.
But really, did you notice about the kindness? Like Daniel,
yes.
I feel like Will wanted to write a book about kindness, and I wonder if he's witnessed anything with his friend's son with SMA and have the interactions, because the kindness is just such a theme, and I loved it. Like I took so many notes on the kindness examples, and I think the world could use a lot more kindness than what it has, and there's a lot of good nuggets of kindness wisdom in here. Did you notice it?
I did.
Were you so irritated the whole time?
No, Marjani, I really liked her in the way that even though she was gruff with him, you could tell she had a special feeling and kindness and love for Daniel. Though they had that banter, and obviously it was all. Yeah. I felt like Marjani was more his mother than his mother was his mother. And
you know what? It's so funny because like you say that about the mom, and I mean I noticed that she wasn't around, and I'm like, that's weird. Maybe it's because I'm a mom and my fourth child is almost 18, and I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm like, going to Jamaica sounds great.
No, I'm not holding it against her because, and again, it just felt weird. Like I felt like she was useless, and we didn't even need to. He could have just said, "My mom is in Jamaica." We talked back and forth. She knows what's going on. We both decided that this was better, and we could have left that and got more of Marjani and the bond that they have, and that's with me. And probably ridiculous is probably a really harsh word to use against his mom right now. Because you could tell that she did love him, and because she did a lot leading up to letting him go. But I mean, that could have been just a short snippet, and then we could have got more Marjani and how she felt. But Travis, to me, and I know Travis liked him and probably loved him as a brother. He was just like I said, he's just the Shaggy. He's just the it's cool, dude. Everything's cool. We're having fun, and that's probably what Daniel needed, and obviously why he moved out to be with Travis, because he knew that's the kind of relationship that they would have. It wouldn't be somebody. He had somebody there that wasn't just going to always be, oh, I got to take care of you. Oh, I got to watch over you. It was somebody he knew he could have fun with, like the dressing up.
I wonder if that has helped Daniel live longer than a lot of people with SMA. He's 26, I think, in the book. because he was treated as normally as possible by people. Right. And, you know, when Travis starts dating the girl Jennifer, one of the things that Daniel notices is Jennifer just looks him in the eye and just chats with him and treats him normally. And so you have Jennifer, Marjani, Travis. I think that makes a difference. And I think that's a good thing for us to remember when we're dealing with people with disabilities, is just look them in the eye and treat them normally. That probably
if you treat him, because he talked about one of the friends he had a helicopter mother and a very protective, and they died relatively early because they were being overprotective, and they were always. Yeah. I think you know, and this is, we're taught in the military, and even as a cop now, even when we're doing exercises or practice and situations, and if we are shot, don't just die right on the spot. You continue going. Die. Oh. You know what I'm saying? Like you're hit with a rubber bullet as a simulation of what's going on. You don't say, oh, I'm dying. No, you say, I'm okay. We'll continue on, because what they find out is, if you tell yourself that you're going to die, and if you have people that are just, oh, he's going to die, then you're going to die. Yeah. And that's what I liked. I think that's what I liked about Travis and Marjani the most, is because they you know, took him out for walks. They treated him normal, even to an extent. His boss, even though they didn't talk about it, even to an extent, his boss at his job was like, checking in on you, making sure you're getting all this stuff done. You know, it didn't say, you know, I don't even know why I'm hiring you because you can't do it. I mean, I get it. So, yeah, Travis and Marjani were probably my favorite. Even though I like Daniel, I think Travis and Marjani were probably my two favorite characters because of what they were. Yeah. So Daniel did have your little military cop mentality, because he was definitely not ready to die. Yeah. And he even escaped and made it halfway down the street. That guy even had to Jonathan had to get in his car to go get him. That's how far down he got. He was doing everything. And I think that was good. I think there's a lot of good nuggets of wisdom embedded in this story. Yeah. I marked it. Let me see if I can remember. So I liked at the beginning of the story, he works for a small regional airport on Twitter, and then a guy is really mad because the weather's delayed or whatever, and calls him bad names. And so Travis says, we are taught, if they get belligerent like that, we're taught to just not respond. We just need to ignore them, right? And I can understand that. You know, nobody pays me enough to get berated, right? I'm not doing it. So, but what he said, one of the things that he likes to do is, the mean guy, he texts back to like someone who's politely asking the Twitter feed. So he will respond to the polite person in hopes that the belligerent person and the polite person are sitting next to each other and having a regular conversation. And then maybe the nice person will go, well, hey, I just got notification, and it'll calm the other guy down. And so then he goes into this really long paragraph about how we just have these normal interactions with people every day. People open the door for us, someone picks up the glasses we dropped, but that we don't ever really remember these little acts of kindness that we see every day. We remember the guy on Twitter who called us XYZ, right? He said people are kind to one another in the real world, even if it's meaningless. If it's a meaningless kindness, it goes unremarked upon, but it shouldn't. We are always much angrier on our phones than we are in the real world. Absolutely. And I absolutely loved that. Yeah. And I have to remember that, because it's so easy to just get angry. I don't know. I just rather talk to people in real life these days. Big conversations. I'm done having them online. If you want to know my thoughts on a really big topic, then call me. I agree. That's how I feel. I think that's why I kind of started the movie thing that's been going on.
Oh, I love that.
I started that because I don't want to talk about, you know, I don't want to talk about that. I want to just have fun, and I am going forward with that book that I told you about. So
you should. You should, and I think the Goonies should win, and whoever picks Empire Strikes Back is a cotton-headed ninny muggins. I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure you probably have nothing to worry about with the Goonies.
I'm just saying.
I did, but we're getting off topic.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So one thing I kind of started now for this one is, and I wrote it down. I have 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, or do not recommend. What is your final grade?
Well, okay, so for me, it's a 3-star. So for my ratings, 3-star means I liked it, but I'm not going to recommend it. So when people call me and say, Amber, what are some books that you really liked? Well, this isn't sucks. I will not mention this one in conversation to anybody. Yeah.
All right, I'll weave that into next books. So
I guess based on your rating,
I was just trying to come up with something, but I like the way you did that.
Okay, so let me tell you really quick. So I'll tell you really quick. A 1-star is I probably didn't finish it. It's terrible. Worst book ever. What was their publisher thinking? A 2-star is I just didn't like it. No, that's a hard no. A 3-star is I liked it, but I'm not going to tell anyone to read it. A 4-star is I loved it. I liked it. I'm going to tell everybody to read it. Go read it. A 5-star, oh, that book has my heart. My heart is attached to a 5-star book, and if you hate it, I will cry.
All right, I'll work that into the next one. I like that. I like that.
So I guess based on you, it's 2.
For me, I gave it a 3-star as well. Probably, since we're going off that, I probably would recommend it though to a couple people that I know that would like this. But overall, it's not. It's kind of like I would not just be like, guys, I read How Lucky, and you need to go buy this.
No.
So I'm with you. I like the 3-star. Again, there was just not bad, and I'm not that he's not a horrible writer. I just
no.
I mean, I like it, and if he writes another one, I will probably read another one of his books. But of course, you saw my pictures of all my room, so I am a book freak. So
yeah.
All right, so that is How Lucky, but now we've got a new one that I picked out. We're going to be talking next month. It's called Anthem, a novel, but it's kind of grim fairy tale-ish with some fantasy-ish, but set in modern day with some thrillers and some mystery involved.
So it's not dystopian.
I didn't get that from the cover. I may have misread it.
No, it didn't. When I skimmed it on Goodreads, it sounded dystopian. But then when I had time and I went back and I really read it, I was like, I don't think it is. I think it's now, like contemporary.
Yeah, it's contemporary,
yeah.
But it looked good. The inside cover read very well for me, which is, the synopsis is what I sometimes go off of. But I just saw this and it stuck out to me. I was like, we haven't talked about our book yet. I'm gonna send her a picture real quick because this looked really good.
Yeah.
So
this looked good.
Yeah. So we're gonna be reading Anthem next month, or that'll be our review. If you guys want to follow along with us, let us know. Jump in there, give us your review as well. Man, that was a good. Overall, it was a good book, but I'm right there with you. I don't know if I would just tell anybody about it.
Yeah, no, it was a good conversation. I enjoy yapping.
Me too.
Yapping with you. So sometimes it's better to talk about books you don't really like.
Yes, and I need to get offline to get address because I got a couple things for. Well, I got one thing for Eric, his award that he won, and then I've got a little synopsis that we've been talking about as well offline of the Marvel Universe, if you will. I've got
ours. Oh.
Yeah, our Marvel Universe thing that we got going on. So I will get with you on that as well.
Yeah. I need help. I need the help, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was a Dash reading. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Dash. This is Amber, and I hope you come back and see us next month for another book review.
Bye.
We'll see you later. Bye.